What is going on, UFC card lovers? Welcome back here to another episode of UFC Card Talk. My name is Damien, and as the title reads of the video, I have this week another UFC card community conversation. I have one half of the Box Alarm Trading duo, Zach. I know I say this every single time, how much I really enjoy these conversations, how much I enjoy just having these conversations with the other community members. This one for me was quite special. Zach and I have talked only a little bit before, just via Instagram, things like that, commenting on each other's videos. So I just had a good feeling that we were going to have a great conversation. And all I can say is, if you enjoy UFC cards, if you like UFC cards, you are really going to want to watch this video. The conversation we had together for me was just something that was very, very inspiring, very, very special for me, something that I actually will never forget. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate your time. I know Zach and I must have a lot of crossover in viewers. I'd be surprised, honestly, if there's not any of my subscribers who's not already subscribed to their channel at BoxAlarmTrading. They make fantastic videos. The entertainment value, the quality of their videos is absolutely unreal. So I cannot recommend enough if you, for whatever reason, have not checked out their videos. I felt super humbled to have Zach on my channel. The conversation we had, we talked about everything to do with UFC cards, his collecting style, how he got into the hobby, how he got to making content, and even how the dynamic duo of him and Eric came together. We also talk about his favorite cards. We talk about everything UFC cards. You can see this as a longer conversation, but I'm not just saying this because it's my video. Please do yourself a favor. Watch it from start to finish. I promise you'll really enjoy this video. Thank you again to Zach for his time. It was really appreciated. Without further ado, let's get to the conversation. What's going on, UFC card lovers? I am back with another UFC card community conversation, and I had to get on my man, Zach from BAT, Box Alarm Trading. We are going to mash it up today. We're going to be talking everything to do with UFC cards. Zach, how are you going, mate?
I'm doing great, Damien. Thanks for having me on. Been watching, and I love the idea of these conversations, so I can't wait to go back and forth with you.
Oh, I'm really, we're just talking a little bit before, but I'm super excited for this one. Just as a fellow content creator yourself, I'm a massive fan of the work that you and Eric do. I think the entertainment value that you guys have in your videos is second to none, and I love it for the UFC card community. And just getting back to these conversations, I think there needs to be more for our little community. So that's the part of the reason why I got into doing them. But I wanted to start off. Obviously, we'll get to you, we'll get to Eric, we'll get to Box Alarm Trading. But can you just tell me a little bit of a backstory about you and how you got started, not only in the sports card hobby, but got started with UFC cards?
Yeah, man, for sure. Like most collectors, it was, started as a kid. I was around right when, the first Pokemon print started. I think that was what, like 96 to 98 or something like
It's like
that. I don't remember the exact.
99, I think it was.
Yeah, so that I was 7 years old, which is like perfect for how cheap the cards were back then, and collected Pokemon cards, moved into Yu-Gi-Oh when that came out. I loved watching the cartoon and collecting those. Then went into Dragon Ball Z cards. I'm a huge DBZ fan, so
Yeah.
I actually want to do a episode showing off some of my collection with that. Um, then kind of went dormant for a while, as most people do, and I've been a UFC fan for a while. Back in probably 2019, I was doing some digital art, and I really wanted like some type of art piece for the UFC. So I kind of started looking into posters, and then I found the cards, and I was like, man, this is a perfect mix of like something small, portable that I can collect, but also it's really cool designs in the cards. And so that's kind of how it manifested itself to where we're at now.
Yeah. No, I think there seems to be a consistency with the UFC card collectors and how they got started in Pokemon and then maybe went to Yu-Gi-Oh, and then moved on to the UFC cards themselves. Maybe they had an introduction from other sports, one of the bigger four sports. But yeah, definitely, it seems to be definitely the consistency there with UFC card collectors and Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and even as you said, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, as a kid of the 90s as well myself, I was born in 88. Yeah, that was I used to record. I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons when I was a kid, unfortunately.
What? Why not? Well,
sorry, I should correct myself. I was allowed to watch them, but we weren't allowed to watch
uh-huh.
TV like in the morning before school or anything.
Oh, I got
So
you.
I had to record the Dragon Ball Z and the Pokemon on VHS and then watch them when I got home.
Nice,
But
man.
yeah, no,
Got the tapes ready for once the homework's done.
yeah. But no, Dragon Ball Z, man, that is the best. And I've rewatched it. I've bought the box set of the DVDs quite a while ago and rewatched them all since. But yeah, no, I haven't looked too much into those cards, but maybe I should.
Yeah,
But
they have some, you know how anime is. They have some really cool designs, super over the top.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
think it's a actually like a trading card game. Now, I didn't really play the act, like how Pokemon they have like attack points and HP and
Mm.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Me and my friends didn't play like the game that much. It was just collecting the cards.
Oh, okay.
So
So
yeah, so I
yeah.
know people play like Magic and stuff, but I
Mm.
never really have actually played the card game that goes along with it.
Yeah. No, I was the opposite. I played with a my brother was a
Oh yeah?
collector. My brother was a collector, but he my brother still has the whole base, like the whole complete first ever set of Pokemon.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, I didn't care. I was the one kids with the rubber band around the stack and playing with
Yeah.
them and stuff. So I never looked after my
Uh-huh.
cards. How times change. But yeah, moving on now. Obviously, as I said, you are one half of the dynamic duo that is Box Alarm Trading. Massive fan of your work. Can you tell me
Thank
about
you. I
how you
appreciate
got started? Maybe a little bit of background with you and Eric, because you guys just have such a great dynamic together.
that.
Even when it just comes to something of like, because we all know like opening boxes of cards isn't a super sexy thing you could say, but I
For
mean,
sure.
the
For
way that
sure.
you and Eric sort of do it together, the way you're a little bit of back and forth. I'm not sure how long you guys have known each other. Maybe you can get into that, but yeah, tell us a little bit about how you got started with Eric, and then leading into the content itself. Maybe what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, man. So I met Eric at work. We were both in the fire department here in Texas. It's a big city department in Central Texas. I met him, instantly it was kind of just a kinship. Some people you just get along with really quickly, whether it's, mutual things that you enjoy or it's just, your personalities mesh well together. But he's a guy that I worked with before, and we both kind of just meshed our personalities. We had a good time, love to laugh, chop it up. And we actually are stationed together now, so we work in the same firehouse. We respond on the same unit to emergencies. So that kind of, I guess, just kind of helped us bond a little better, actually going through some shit together,
Yeah, I
like
could imagine.
the, it's kind of like, I guess, like trauma bonding, is kind of like in the military, that's what they call it. I would imagine there's some of that with us as well. But yeah, man, we were just kind of talking about random stuff at the station one day, and trading cards came up, and he was talking about, his Kobe refractor rookie he had, and I was like, dude, that's amazing. Like I just started getting into collecting UFC cards. We were talking about the sport and the hobby of collecting, and this was right around when like prices were just insane, 2020, 2021. And we decided to try and kind of make some type of a partnership together, and we did our first video almost exactly a year ago. Actually, it'll be a year tomorrow when we uploaded our first YouTube video. And yeah, it's just fun. You know how it is when you talk to like-minded individuals about the hobby. It's fun, and to have, one of my best friends into it, it's a great time.
Yeah, I could imagine. As you said, like the not only the camaraderie aspect that you have with your work, but also just having that next level friendship as well, with both being super passionate card collectors.
Hmm.
Um, Part of me, like I'm a little bit alone in my journey in that spot, but I think obviously that's what's pushed me into having the content side of it as well. Because as I
Yeah,
mentioned with Chicken in the last conversation, if I wasn't doing this thing right now, like I would never be meeting fantastic people like yourself. So I'm sort of filling that
hmm,
little bit of a void with the social aspect of my collecting, because I don't have any friends,
100%.
I don't have any family members that are into the cards at all, let alone to the level that I am. So
Right.
I'm able to find other ways, which I'm sure other people do as well. Maybe they're actively going to shows, or
Hmm.
even whether it's social aspect on social media. But yeah, definitely that community part of the card space is, I think. something that motivates a lot of people and keeps a lot of people involved for sure.
100%. I mean, that's what's so cool about this whole thing is, not only is it fun to chase cards and collect cards and try and flip, and cool designs and new things are coming out and you're, kind of educating yourself on different products. But yeah, the social part is, probably the biggest driver of all. It's sharing the thing that you're passionate about with your friends and like-minded individuals. And 100% the content creation and even just starting an Instagram for your cards is like something that if you're into collecting, you should 100% do because it's so cool to talk about and show off your collection. I mean, that's half of it at least, if not more.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there, obviously you guys seem to open a bit of retail rips and boxes on, is that the way that you like to sort of enjoy the hobby the most at the moment, or what is your sort of ratio of opening product as opposed to, as I understand it's part of your content,
Right.
which is probably a big sort of driving factor as to why you guys are
Mhm.
ripping product, but is there a ratio between like you're ripping a product and then also buying, selling singles?
I mean, as we all know, and as you can tell from our channel, like buying and ripping products is not the way to get a good collection. And you can see that with like 80% of our videos, right? Like they almost always end badly. But since I do kind of have a partner in this, it's a lot more financially viable for us to split it, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the prices if you were to just divide everything in half are actually not too bad.
Yeah.
Um so we like to open every product just because it's so fun for us to just well one for me and him to just do it is a good time, right? But for me, I love to edit and I love to mess around with like the content and technology and art side of it. So there's also kind of that aspect. But I would say majority of our collection is singles, and it's a much more financially viable and just easier way to get what you want. Um, Percentage wise, probably maybe 50-50 as far as if you were to split up the funds of what we're buying singles and what we're buying product per month. But we usually just get one box of whatever product. We rip it, we get what we get, we keep what we want, we try and move the rest, which can be difficult because you're not always going to get good cards. And if you're not getting the big hitters, most people don't even want to buy it. So sometimes you're just left with, a bunch of base and a freaking Randy, you know, whatever Joe Blow that nobody's heard of,
Yeah, yeah,
silver refractor. But I say probably 50-50.
yeah. No, I think, I mean, as most of my viewers know, because I talk about it almost every week, my access to retail in Europe here is next to none. So I've been almost forced to keep my hobby experience to buying and selling trading singles. Although the buying
Which
is,
is probably the best way to do it, man.
yeah, but unfortunately, obviously, with the lack of access to retail, I mean, yeah, I've talked about this 100 times, but the selling part never goes too well as well for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the buying of singles, at least as you mentioned, I'm getting the cards that I want.
Mhm.
So I think I am quite happy about that I've sort of been forced to, at least I probably would have learnt my lesson like most do, maybe after a bit of trial and error with buying and opening packs. And there is fun to that, but at least for me, as I said, that was not really an option. So but as I said, I can't be mad about, only using my budget to be buying singles that I actually want.
For
Is
sure.
there,
And I
no,
know
you're
we
right.
had talked on Instagram about like whatnot, and you were saying like you've never tried whatnot, and I was like, keep it that way because
Mm,
that is the ultimate. Like ripping, at least you get every card, and then you have the actual unboxing experience of doing it yourself. But I would mess around with whatnot, a couple years ago, and dude, I did not have any luck at all. And it almost like incentivizes you to buy cards that you don't even really want, which is weird.
yeah, it's the bit I've even experienced through eBay, and as I mentioned to you when we are having that little convo on Instagram, I already spend way too much scrolling eBay like
Mhm.
mindlessly. So when I had people, because obviously I was very interested when I heard about Whatnot and got into the hobby to begin with, and I sort of asked a few people because I felt like I was missing out on something because you see a lot about Whatnot, you know that it's
Mm-hmm.
obviously a big space, and you definitely hear that there's deals to be had, but from what the advice people gave me, that obviously you're a part of the Whatnot experience, they said don't get lost, don't get lost in that
That's a
world. So
perfect phrase. Don't get lost. That's a perfect phrase because you can get lost so quick because it's fun, man. Like you're constantly with it, you're bidding and like you know how it is on eBay when you win a bid, like you almost get like a endorphin rush. You're like, yes, I got it. And it's like that, but it's just over and again. And you got the guy hyping you up and you're like interacting with the chat. So it's kind of like a weird thing that you can get lost in.
yeah,
And no disrespect to anybody that likes Whatnot or that even sells on Whatnot. Like we sell on Whatnot some as well. But it's just very easy to, like you said, get lost and just kind of, your plan and your criteria that you've built to try and amass a great collection goes out the window when you're having fun. And that happens really easily on Whatnot.
yeah. Um, I'm not sure how you do your bidding, maybe on eBay, for example, but that's one of the reasons why I choose to just use a sniping service on eBay because I've found previously if I am watching, obviously the other reason is here in Europe, obviously it's, the other side of the world, different time zones. So I can't
Yeah.
be up at 3 a.m. trying to win an auction in the US. But what the auctions that I have sat and watched and tried to win
Hmm.
at the last second, I found myself just bidding these amounts that I was way over what I wanted to
Yeah.
pay, and I just got, and then
Yeah.
I might even win the card, and I just sit there and I look back and I'm like, what the hell did I just do? Like,
What have I
what
done?
what just happened? So that's another
Yeah.
reason, and a little bit of a tip that I can give to people. I know some people might be a little bit hesitant, and obviously everyone's situation is different, but that's one reason why I do especially like to use a sniping service as well. You can sort of just set it and forget it when it comes to
Mhm.
auctions because yeah, you sort of your bids going in, you can time it whether it's 10 seconds, 5 seconds before the end of, and then
Mhm.
that way you don't have to get emotionally involved in just the participation of
That's
bidding.
perfect, man. Have you made a video about that?
I haven't, but maybe
Dude,
I'll put
that
one.
that has that has to happen because me and Eric have had this conversation and he's messed with a couple of them and he had really good success. You need to do a video on that for sure.
No, I can. I'll put that on the put that on the to-do list. I
Yeah, man,
bet.
because I've been wondering about it and the thing with me is I'll forget, right? Unless sometimes I'll set a timer, but most of the time I forget and I'm like, "Oh man, that card I need to go check and like see if it's within what I want to pay." And I go back and it's already over and I'm like, "Dude, I've missed so many good cards that way."
I've done that a little bit too, but to stop myself getting mad, I just tell myself, it wasn't meant to. That card wasn't meant to
Yeah.
be. Wasn't meant to
Yep.
be in my collection.
Hmm.
Have you got, like, obviously, like most people, I'm sure you're working on a monthly budget
Hmm.
for like whether it's your retail or whether it's buying singles, you're working off a monthly budget. Are you sort of trying to add to that? Have you got a strategy when it comes to um, sort of maybe selling some cards, whether they were cards that you pulled from a box and they don't, you don't want to have them in your PC, so then you sell them onwards. Maybe you get graded. Can you tell me a little bit about of what's your strategy when it comes to maybe increasing the kitty when it comes to buying cards for the PC?
Yeah, 100%. So I kind of have separated into like me and Eric, the products we split, and then sometimes I'm like, this is really cool. I want to go ahead and get, like for Immaculate, I kind of got a personal box, just because I really wanted to see more designs and there was a couple cards that I was really chasing that I wanted. So with the cards with me and Eric, we try and basically sell what we can, and then we roll that profit into the next retail box or hobby box, whatever we're buying. So we're kind of just buying and rolling those profits over into more product. For my personal, yeah, there's a ton of cards that I bought early on that I'm sure everyone has this experience where you're like, I have way too many cards.
Mm.
Like they're in a box, right? So I'm actively trying to kind of trim some fat, roll those profits into, a very similar situation to you. Roll those profits into like bigger PC cards that I could see myself keeping forever. And yeah, so I'm actively in the process of trying to move some cards right now, just
Are you,
to put those into the big whale cards.
Yeah. So are you taking like, obviously the cards, as you said, that you might have had in a box that you're like, I'm not attached to this anymore. I don't want to hold on to this. I want to move this into maybe a bigger, better card that you would be happy to have. Are you sort of taking a bit of an L on those at the moment? Are you
Oh
setting them
yeah.
at auction? Are you setting them for buy it now, or how are you sort of moving those cards?
That's a great question. I guess it's kind of dependent on who the fighter is and what the timing is, right? So I have a Chandler rookie debut Prism. I have a bunch of Connors as well that I kind of have had to buy it now because, Tough is popping off, and I feel like it should come at a premium at this time. But then I have some cards like I was big on Andre Muniz, got a couple graded. He looked like horrible in his last fight against Brendan Allen. And I was like, man, I got to just rip right now and try and get what I can because I really didn't like what I saw on the tape last fight. So I think it's kind of just dependent on the fighter and the situation. If it's kind of a higher end card, I have a couple cards that I'm trying to get rid of that, 100 plus, set the buy it now and kind of see what shakes out. And then if I get no bites on that in the next month, then I might just have to take a L. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know how it is. It's just dependent on the situation with each fighter.
Yeah, that's one thing I would definitely, and maybe it's not so obvious to people who are new to the UFC hobby space, which obviously there's new people coming all the time. But yeah, you definitely, if you're looking to sell and you want to get maximum value, which is never guaranteed, especially in the market that we have just now,
Right.
um, yeah, you need to sell when the fight is relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you would be looking at selling leading into fight week, and maybe set at an auction, have the auction end. Listen, what I've done is previously, I mean, it's worked in a couple of scenarios. As I said, it's never a guarantee, but I've set the auction to actually end just before fight night. So
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for the result. I did that with the TJ Dillashaw leading into Aljamain.
Ooh.
I didn't. I listed one of his cards. I had a commemorative belt with a patch with a relic patch, and with a canvas patch. Sorry, not a relic patch. And it wasn't I got it for real cheap just before the fight, was because I knew he was coming back. I knew he'd be coming into a title fight straight off the bat.
Right.
So I got it cheap. I think I paid maybe 15 for it, and I put it at auction leading into the Aljo fight. And as I said, I didn't want to risk who won, which I know you can do that as well. Obviously, you can have the auction end
Yeah.
just as the fight finishes, or maybe on the Sunday or something. But then you're running the risk of the buyer A, not paying, and B, not
Mm-hmm.
getting, if the fighter loses, you're not going to get maximum value. But for example, that TJ card, I think I paid 15 for it. I think I sold it for 25 or 30, but
Nice. That's a
it's
good
still it's
profit.
still rolled it into a profit at the end of the day. But that would be my little tip: is yeah, maybe not, unless you're super confident they're going to win. Don't actually have the auction finish after the fight. Maybe try and have it finished before.
For sure. Yeah,
Um,
we did that. We pulled a silver Patty Disco, like when Patty was at his peak, and he was gonna fight Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King.
yep,
And I went back and I was like, man, I'm watching a lot of Levitt film. I mean, Patty's not great, but I think he can outwork this guy in the grappling department. And me and Eric kind of did the same thing, where we I was like, let's just roll the dice. I think Patty's gonna win, and we actually made a decent amount off that. But it was a gamble, right? I mean, that's what's scary about it is you can lock in for sure profits before, or you can kind of gamble and maybe get a little more. So that's something to think about too. If it's only, a $10 or $15 card, maybe you go for the gamble and you get 25 or 30, or do you just kind of lock in your 15 or 20?
yeah. And I suppose it's never like, especially if you're selling on eBay, that it's never a guarantee anyway. Because even if say a bidder is winning up the auction before the fight, and then, for
Then they don't pay,
example,
they wait.
they don't pay. Yeah, they just cancel it. So nothing nothing is guaranteed in this hobby.
Man, nothing.
I'm sure it happens to all of us. I like to think a lot of people think along this probably the same lines that we do. You're on it, you're bidded for something, you need to honor it.
Right.
Like that's a lesson learned, really, isn't it? I mean,
Mhm.
it might be a cheap lesson that you pay for at the end of the day, but yeah, I'm sure that happens a lot as well. So it's not an easy gig. And as you're saying too, like, because you're opening more retail newer products, like you've got to move fast with that sort of stuff, because you're buying
100%.
2022 product. You've only got a small window, as you said, with that Muniz. He was looking like an absolute world beater. And then he has one loss, and then you've sort of the train's derailed, and you've got to think quick. What am I going to do here? Am I going to hold these and wait maybe another 2 years till he builds himself back up again? Because unfortunately, these athletes are not performing on the consistent basis that they do at other sports.
Yeah.
So they're not getting these opportunities to build themselves up and build value in their sports cards.
Yeah, 100%. You're looking a quick turnaround is what, 4 to 6 months. Like that's a fast turnaround, like very fast. So yeah, so like for Muniz, I mean, you're right on the money. Potentially, maybe he has 1, 2 fights, and then he's probably back to where he was before. So that could be 2 years. So it's like, let me just take a L.
Yeah.
I can sell at 70, 80%, lock in some profits. I can maybe if that, right, and then put that towards something that I actually really want to keep for a long time.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense.
Honestly, I don't handle much of the eBay selling stuff. That's all kind of Eric's wheelhouse. When we were first kind of talking about it, it was like we need to, how much work everything is, man. Like it really is like a full-time job, especially if you're editing videos, and it's like you said earlier. I think that was off air. Like when you're trying to improve your videos, it really is like a full-time job. So we were like, let's differentiate some of the work effort, and we'll kind of have some assigned roles into this. And Eric was he's like, he does almost everything that has to do with selling cards on eBay. So he's looking up comps, trying to figure out whether it's worth doing a buy it now, whether it's worth doing an auction, listing all the cards, images for the listing, shipping. He's got like a fancy sticker printer thing that like prints out the label all nice for you and all that all that stuff. So he's kind of has that lane of the hobby where he's more of like selling and flipping and kind of dealing with more of like the business side of it. Whereas I'm more of like the artistic director. I don't know what fancy term you would want to do it, but
Content creator.
content creator. That's the 2023 term for it, right?
Yep.
So I'm more of like trying to run the social media accounts, do all the editing, trying to film, trying to get equipment that could up the production value of the content, and just trying to research different avenues that we could go with the content. Like you talked about earlier about like the sniping tool for a video. Like that's a great idea, and that's the kind of weird nerdy things that my brain goes to in the hobby, is like, how can we get information out to other people that would help, that would, one, benefit them, and that two, would be entertaining, right? I really want to try and make entertaining content, and like we alluded to earlier, sometimes it's hard with opening boxes because there's only so much you can do, but yeah, that's kind of the different facets, that are box alarm trading. So I guess I would be more like the art brain, and he's more like the analytical brain. And when we're combined, we're a fully working unit.
No, as I said, mate, whatever you guys are doing at the moment, as you said, sharing the responsibilities of box alarm training, I think is absolutely a great idea, and it obviously shows the friendship that you guys have. And yeah, I've given you props before, but I'll definitely give it again. Like the effort, as I said, as a fellow content creator, I know how much work it goes into doing these. And to steal a term from Matt at the Golden Octagon, I know a lot of my videos sometimes look like dog water, but the stuff that you got, like even just like little clips that you add in, the green screen with the back, like I love Rick and Morty. I'm a massive Rick and Morty fan, but to have that as the backdrop, it definitely adds. Like what you're doing is definitely working as a viewer, and I'm not saying that as someone's biased just because I like you. I think you and Eric are great,
that,
but like as I said, remove that from side. It's very like I watch a lot of YouTube. I try and keep super up to date with content, not only sports card content but other content as well. And yeah, it's I think you guys are kicking goals, and to be honest, I'm surprised. Maybe you could speak about that a little bit with your content goals and stuff, but I think yeah, I'm surprised you guys don't have a bigger following, to be completely honest. And I know it's going to come with time, but yeah, the quality of your videos, it's not reflected in the subscribers just now, but I think that's only a good thing because it's only going to get bigger and better. But leading into that, like, have you got sort of content goals that you try to aim towards with the channel at the moment?
Well, thanks so much, man. I mean, anybody that ever reaches out and says, I love the Rick and Morty, or like that specific thing you did was hilarious, I don't think people understand like how nice that is to hear. I know you feel the same way. Like when you put in time and effort for a clip or a bit or just a detail, and people actually like that and are receptive to the idea that you had, that you like carried out the vision, it's very rewarding. So thank you so much for saying that. But yeah, man, I mean, goals are a part of life, right? Like you should be setting goals in a lot of different areas of your life. So definitely have goals in relation to content. Not hitting a lot of them, as you kind of alluded to. It is kind of, how it is when you look, a week's gone by and you've only gained one subscriber, and you can't not help but think like, why? Like, what am I doing something wrong? Are people not getting like what I'm trying to do, or do we need to go in a different direction? And yeah, so everyone wants to be monetized, right? I think that's the main goal that we have as a content creator, is to eventually be compensated for all the hard work and the dedication that we're having. So I would say as of right now, that's probably the goal for the next 2 or 3 years. And then, I mean, just being able to maybe support this thing, have it be encapsulated where we're getting money for viewers or sponsors, and then having that pay for products would probably be, all that I could ask for. And if anything else came after that, it would just be icing on the cake.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely in agreement with you. Like I'm not out here trying to quit my day job to make this as my full-time thing, and that'll never be my goal. Just because I feel like if that it was, it'd be too much pressure, and then it's not the hobby that I enjoy, right? Like this is just a side thing. And as you said, with the content creation, like I consider myself to be quite a creative person as well. So just having the outlet and the ability to make a video and then put it out on YouTube, and yeah, as you said, maybe 10 people watch my video or whatever, like
Yeah.
it's still a finished product. And although, as I said, I understand because you're always comparing, like, my quality against the other people in the space. I know I can self here admit that, like, it's not up there and I need to do better. But yeah, it's like just to have a finished product that's out there and know that you've done it, you put your heart and soul into it. That's something that's very cool. And I'm not YouTube, so I'm not obviously basing this off anything, but I think, to be fair, as I said, for where you guys are at now with the content, I think it's only going to go up. And I think YouTube itself, obviously, it has a completely massive algorithm that, it's hard to crack, but I think it's just literally time that's the only thing that helps with that. And from what I've seen with
Yeah.
other people, it seems to be, I think about 500 subscribers seems to be about the tipping point. Like after 500, then it
They
sort of,
kind of push you a
yeah,
little
you
more.
get like a snowball effect where it just rolls on and
Right.
rolls on and rolls on. But no, I think, as I said, I hope you don't get too disappointed with like meeting goals and stuff, because I think, to be honest, as an outsider, if you were to reflect on the actual quality of work that you're putting out, I think it's honestly, I think it's really, really, really good. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
be
thanks, man.
too bummed out about that. And I think it would just be time that'll catch up with that. But
Yeah, and I don't, thief is the comparison of joy, right? Like that's a great quote that I like. And you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, but it is like naturally something that we do as humans. And I try not to tie, myself to the outcome of a video either. I feel like we've made great videos, and then we get no views, and then I feel like that was just a low effort, not a good video, and then it gets, a lot of views, and I'm like, how? like, how is that possible, you know?
Mhm.
So it's just it's an interesting thing and an interesting space. But um your videos offer something unique and different that I think a lot of other videos don't. And it's we all kind of have separate like lanes almost in the space where there's certain things that you can fill and certain needs and voids that you can fill as a creator, and that I think that you're doing that are very important to the hobby. And what the the production is going to be there with time, and you're going to learn DaVinci Resolve, and that's actually a really like complicated program, and maybe that's why you're having some issues with learning, and it's taken a while, is because the skill gap is so high on that. Like once you keep exploring and learning all that, your videos are going to be insane, because like you could literally make movies with that program. But but yeah, we all kind of have different lanes and different avenues that are going to end up in the same place, which is collecting UFC cards. But it's super cool to see the different things, and I'm a huge fan of you and Matt and Joe and Cloudsy, and it's really fun to just watch somebody's mind, because it really is like it's your brain, right? It's what you're thinking about. It's the ideas you have in the content, and it's really fun to see how different people's brains think about a similar topic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Obviously, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, just to answer that a little bit, I obviously, as I said, lack of retail product, I can't be like some of you other guys who will open, because I understand that's a big part of the content space and people love to see. I like to watch opening of product. So I had obviously was forced to then make content that was not revolved around opening product. I had to come up with ideas, but as I said, that's fun for me in itself.
Hmm.
That was a gap I wanted to fill when coming into the UFC space. I became so obsessed with not making content, consuming content. And there was not, like, this was 18 months ago now, there was not really any
Yeah.
UFC content. I know Joe was just getting started doing his videos, Macy Collectibles, he was doing
Shout out to
videos.
Mace.
Shout out
That's the OG
Chris.
right there.
Um, and he was doing the trivia nights and things. And I obviously different time zones, I was never able to participate, but I was always like watching them back on YouTube. And I know, so there's a few guys, but I just felt like, oh, there's not enough people. Like I love these cards so much. I want to sort of, as a UFC massive fan of the UFC as a sport. I only learned about these cards 18 months ago, and I couldn't believe it. So that's why I wanted to sort of do my part and sort of help fill that content void. And now there's more and more people, as you know, coming up as well, which is great to see. I think there's enough space, and I encourage more people. So if you are, if you're sitting on the fence at the moment, maybe watching this video, um, I would definitely just get it. Just start doing content, because we need more of it in the UFC space for sure.
Yeah, 100%. You touched on it perfectly. Like whenever I was getting into it, I was looking for stuff like, Chris and Joe were the only people, and it was crazy because I was like, you know how it is. You have so many questions. It's like, what about this set? What's the best? Blah blah. Supplies. Blah blah. And you're looking at all this up, and that information just isn't there because it is such a relatively new section of the hobby. I mean, 2009 was around like 10 15 years ago. Like that's crazy that we're in the impetus of this space, if you want to call it, of the hobby. And definitely, we create what we want to see, right? So like you create what you want to see, and you create the video that you would want to watch. And that's probably how everyone does these things. They want to talk about what they want to talk about, whether it be pricing, whether it be flipping, whether it be, certain sets that are sweet. How much is this card? What's inside this product? We all create those things, and hopefully there's other like-minded individuals that their questions get answered by what you're making.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because as I said, with trying to consume all this other sports card content, most of it I was finding was not relevant at all, because UFC cards are just so different from the other sports. So,
Mhm.
as I said, the more people that make content around UFC cards is only going to be better for the future. But speaking of these beautiful UFC card sets. Let's get back to the cards. Can you share a little bit about your PC? And then I know you are a passionate set collector, which is something that's a little bit foreign to me because I'm just buying individual cards that I like, not technically set collecting. So can you tell me a little bit about your PC?
Yeah, man. So I'm kind of a weird, not, I wouldn't say weird. I'm sure there's other people that collect like this, but I know a lot of people that have like specific fighters, right? Like they'll like you're a huge O'Malley and he's your main guy that you're collecting, whereas I kind of want I'm such a huge fan of just the sport, and I'm such a huge fan of so many different fighters that I really am trying to like thin the herd to maybe like 3 cards for each person that I really enjoy. And most of it would be like the first ever printed rookie, the first auto, maybe in the rookie year, if it's not necessarily the first printed, if it's the best design or the best image, then I go with that. But mainly it's going to be people that either have like insane staying power, like the GOATs, Habib, Hoist, people that are very historic GSP in the sport. I'll try and get, one of those three kind of criteria: first ever printed rookie, first auto, what I think is just kind of the coolest design that they have. And I'm really trying to limit myself to maybe 3 cards per person because there's so many amazing fighters that I just can't have. Like when I first started, I was starting the PC around Leon Edwards, right? And that was like 2020 when everybody hated him. And I was like, I like this guy, man. Like he's a cool guy. He has a great skill set. He's dirt cheap. Let me get as much as I can of him. But and now I have a lot of just a rainbow and a bunch of different cards, but some people are so expensive that like if I was gonna try and do that with like Habib or with GSP or like Izzy, like it's just not really viable because of how expensive the cards are. So I would say I kind of long story short, I'm kind of rambling here. You know
I
how it
love
is
it.
when
I
you
love
get
it.
when you
I
get
love it.
excited about
You're
something.
talking to the king of rambling here, so it's all good.
Yeah, but I just try and get like maybe the first ever printed rookie, the first auto, and then it's obviously subjective, but what I would deem like the coolest design of that fighter. And that's kind of when I land on the people that I really like, Hamzat, Izzy, Hoist, GSP, Habib. I mean, if somebody that's cool, I'm probably gonna try and get a couple of their cards. So there's really not a set like PC that I could list, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I can definitely understand that. Speaking of sets, is there a set when it comes to, as you said, the cool card, like the cool design that you like of each fighter? Are you finding there's like overlapping sets, so it might be a particular design that you keep finding that you is overlapping with the fighter that you want to get that card for, if that makes sense? Like, for example, I think for me, the 2021 fireworks, Prism fireworks, in the
Yeah.
silver, or even I've got the copy for the for Izzy in the green pulsar. Those, like, I
Hmm.
don't PC Izzy. I think I'm actually like starting to like him a lot more since after he actually lost to Pereira, just the way he handled it. But anyway, like that card, just the green pulsar, the fireworks image, the pose that he's put, the Naruto pose that he's pulling
Hmm.
in, that I just fell in love with that card and I had to have it. Um, so is there like a specific parallel or something that you're finding is overlapping that you just can't sort of take your eyes off when it comes to buying these cool looking cards for the fighters?
I mean, for a set, I think there's a couple different like criteria that I try and meet. If I'm gonna try and collect a set, one is like ease of collection. How many cards are in the set? If it's a 30 plus set, like that's just a little bit too much effort, too much money. And if it's a 30 card set, like honestly, the actual set checklist is probably not full of the people that I would want. So I try and kind of when I am set collecting is to find one a set that's relatively lower in card count, and two, a set that has a checklist that I love. Like it needs to be like 90% people that I either think are very relevant to the sport, are GOATs, or are just fighters that I'm rooting for. So I think that those 2 or 3 things mixed with, like you're saying, the fireworks debut prism is a beautiful design. So for me, I try and look at sets that have like all 3 of those factors, and then that's when I'm like, okay, this is green light. I really like the checklist. I really like the design of this, and I think I can complete this without it giving me too many problems hunt wise or financially. And then that's kind of like when I go all in and then I complete the set.
Yeah, no, I think that's such great points that you've just pointed out, that you need to have a criteria when it comes to set collecting, because
Yeah.
otherwise you can just be underwater with
And
trying.
there's so many cool designs that you can literally, I would say almost every product there's a design that I'm like, that's a really good design, but then one of the criteria I'm like, this actually has 4 or 5 people that I don't really love, so it's out. Because you can get, like you said earlier about whatnot, man, you can just get lost. You can get lost. There's so much.
No. As I said, that's why, probably a good reason I stay away from set collecting. As I said, just try and keep it to the individual fighters, and that way I don't have to
Yeah.
get lost into adding more safe searches on eBay and taking up
Yeah.
taking up more of my time outside of the hobby.
Hmm.
Before we finish up
Well,
here, Zach, this has been absolutely amazing, by the way. I wanted to ask
yeah,
you
man, super fun.
just a few quick questions. Just fire away with a few quick questions, fun questions.
All right. Should I answer these top of the head or should I take a second?
Take it how you want, mate. I trust you either
All
way.
right.
We'll start off with the first one. If you had $1,000 to spend, if I gifted you $1,000 to
Ooh.
spend on UFC cards, what
Hey, thanks,
card?
man. I appreciate
That is right. I'll hook you up. Send me your PayPal.
it.
What card or cards are you going to be getting?
Oh man, if you would have said this like 6, 7 months ago, I would have got the John Jones first auto. Those were floating around at like 900, and I wish I would have got a John first auto because now they're like almost double that. Let's see, a grand. Man, I've been trying to get. I would probably get multiple cards actually, because there's a couple cards that are around the like $300-400 price range that I'm really trying to add to the PC. So let me see if I'd get a Rogan debut 2009 Tops Round 1 PSA 9, and I could probably get that for like 300. I'd get the Dana White PSA 9 for probably around what, like 200 maybe. So what am I at, like 500? And then I've kind of been wanting a color blast here because I don't have any. I want at least one color blast. I think it really is kind of an iconic card in the UFC card space. I would have to get a 2021 color blast, right? Because that's the debut set. I think there's a premium on that. So I'd probably either, I don't think I
I think that's your budget going there, mate. To be honest,
yeah, right.
I think that color blast
I
is
don't think
just.
I could get it.
I think that color blast is eating up every single cent left that
Yeah,
was left.
I'd have to get somebody low, but if I could squeeze a color blast of anybody, Usman, Izzy, I couldn't get a Habib. That's like a grand, but yeah, if I could fit a color blast, that'd be ideal.
All right. So you're getting 3 cards. Nice.
What about you? What are you getting? $1,000. I said, you know what, Damien? I appreciate that grand. You keep it and you buy some cards for a grand. What are you getting?
I'm definitely getting. There's a O'Malley PSA 9 gold flashback from 2022. That's out at the moment. I think the seller's asking around 650 for it, or best offer.
Nice.
I'd be fair with my offer. There's only 10 copies of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could eat up probably 550 of that.
All right.
And
500. You talked him down.
500.
You
I
got
talked him
500 to
down.
spend.
I sweet talked him. And then what am I doing with the other 500? There's, I would have to upgrade my vertical 2018 O'Malley museum. That is, I
Yeah.
mentioned in my video just this past week, but it's his only vertical card. I love vertical cards. I've got a non-numbered CSG 8.5 just now, so I'd have to upgrade that to at least a copper. To the copper is numbered to 179 or 175, I think. So I
Nice.
think there's one at the moment that's listed SGC 10 that's out for 500. So if it's not that, I would probably actually no, scratch that. I'm gonna go the gold variant number to 75, and I think that would probably eat up another $500.
Oh, the gold disco that just came out.
No, no, sorry. So it would be the gold variation of the 2018 Tops Museum.
Oh, got you.
So they're numbered to 75. So I would halve the rarity. I wouldn't worry about the grade of the copper, as I said, because there's more than double the amount of copies of that one. But yeah, I would go with the gold. Would go for the lower serial number. So I'd pick up those two.
Nice. Nice, man. Yeah, upgrading the current cars that you have, that's kind of where I am too. It's like I just got that I got a red Hamzat debut Prism rookie, and so
Ooh,
now
yeah,
I'm trying to sell my just base 9 that I had that I opened from a Mace a box from Chris that I got. So like trying to upgrade and then flip your old card, that's half the fun of it, right? Is you're kind of going full circle by taking the profit from your sale and putting that into a new card.
yeah. No, just quickly that harms that red. I think that's actually if it's not a gold for his debut prism because it's such a cool image for his debut prism. I think the red just with that image looks so good for him, and I think I mentioned that when I saw that card on your Instagram.
Let's see. Where is it? It's up here. Oh, it's up here. You
Oh
guys
yeah,
can't see
yeah.
it.
I can make it out. Second from the left at the top.
Yeah.
All right, next
Yeah,
question. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
man.
You're right. No, go.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no, no.
You
I
good?
was just gonna say that's a perfect like on my I think I think it's his best image that he's had. It's his first rookie ever. To me, that's like a really nice card. I still don't think they've made a better card of Hamzat after that. Maybe the Leech where he's smashing Leech, but that's one of the best cards they've made of his, I think.
Yeah, and I remember you liked the Chronicles, last year's Chronicles when he was sitting on the
Oh,
cage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
ended up getting that base too. I have that.
need that in a gold or something.
Right?
Get a parallel. All right, next question. Let's fast forward the hobby, UFC card hobby, 10 years from now. What
Okay.
set do you think is the most valued?
Ooh, that's a great question. Let me answer it in two parts. What I think should be the most valued and what is going to be the most valued. I think 2009 tops round 1 should be the most valued, and you know, even round 2 with like a John Jones, with Hoist, with GSP, with all the pioneers of the sports. You know, when you look at sports cards as a whole in other sports, some of the biggest cards ever are of what? Of the greats. It's, you know, Mickey Mantle, it's Hank Aaron, it's Jordan. Like those are who should have the biggest market share of the cards, in my opinion. So I think the vintage tops, you know, probably round 1, round 2, that 2009 should be the biggest set. What will be probably is how it is now, is that 2021 Prism. I think that's going to maintain a pretty good market share because like you've alluded to in a lot of your videos, I think that's when the biggest influx of collectors has came into the space, and I think that really does drive a lot of the, you know, the monetary values of the cards, just because there's so much more people now that are watching those fighters that are into the hobby than there was back in 2009 when the UFC cards first ever got released.
Yeah. No,
What do you think?
I'm gonna have to answer the same with the one caveat difference. It should be 2009, as you said, just the debut year of any UFC product. Um, and if it's not 2021 Prism after that, I would probably vote for 2017 Topps Chrome, just the first year of Topps Chrome for UFC. And the
Mm,
fact that it actually came before Panini Prism, I think if it's not Prism itself, I could definitely see Topps. Like Topps Chrome is massive in every other, in all
yeah,
the other big sports as well, a lot as well as Prism. But as I said, I would give it probably to Topps Chrome just for the fact that it came before Panini Prism. So
nice. Yeah, I
yeah,
like it. Those are some beautiful design. 2017, 2018, 2019. They have some of my favorite cards in there.
yeah. No, I love those cards as well. Try and pick them up for the fighters that I PC for sure. All right, let's get into the next one.
All right.
What do you want to see as the UFC card community continues to grow? What is the one thing that you would like to see moving forward?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Probably a little bit too in depth for just a quick one. So sorry I threw
Yeah,
that one at you.
no, that's all good. That's a real like philosophical question. Honestly, I've seen like a little bit of, and maybe it's just the fandom of the sport, but there's a little bit of like not hate, but kind of just like negative energy sometimes when it comes to like buying, selling, or people that like when as I talked about earlier, I was PC and Leon Edwards, in like 2020, and I posted a picture of my rainbow on Reddit, and I was like, guys, look at this. This is awesome. Look, check this Leon Edwards rainbow out. And there was two or three people that were just like, Leon Edwards sucks ass. Why would you collect him? And I'm just like, come on, like really? And then, fast forward into how it is now. But I think just kind of negativity, but maybe that's not even in the collection. It's just the sport in general. The type of person that would enjoy maybe combat sports is a little more argumentative, maybe, or a little more like fiery than a traditional sports. Um, but yeah, that is a very tough question to answer. But maybe that would be the route I'd go with it. What about you?
Yeah, I can definitely understand your answer. Just to add to that a little bit, obviously the average UFC fan is not the same average fan of what we have for these other sports. I've spoken about this before, but obviously the driving factor for the sports card hobby and all the other sports, a lot of it is the participation of, kids and younger people, where you don't really have that in the UFC hobby just now. Anyway, I think that will
Yeah.
eventually happen, but we just don't have it just so much now. For
And we
me,
should. We should. If you're out there and you love the UFC and you love MMA, go check out a gym, guys. It's so fun. Sorry.
I do want to get into that. We'll have to save this for the next chat because I'm sure we will do this again. But I do definitely want to get into you and your training. But anyway, we can take that next time, as I said.
Yeah.
How I think, and it's actually starting to happen because obviously we've seen it start to happen on Chicken, for example, on his whatnot streams. His box ripping is the older products. I think a lot of these, you just alluded to it before, a lot of the people who are come into UFC for the first time, they're sort of, what they know is the products that's been out since they got into
Hmm.
the hobby. So they all came in 2021 ish. So they've only known Panini and Prism and Select and these Panini products since then. They're not too versed just because maybe they're not so interested. That's fine too. It's not, obviously not for everyone to look back in time to see what cards came before. But I think the more that people learn about the older cards, I think that'll be a great thing for the hobby in general, just because it'll give it a better sort of story to be told
Yeah.
when it comes to how we got to where we are in the hobby today.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge. And you see it in literally every other sports card market. You see the vintage being a huge cross section, of not only where the money at, but where the attention and where the fandom lies. And that's a much better answer than I had. And that I like that one.
As I
Same.
said, when
Count
we
me in
do
with that one.
when we do this again, mate, I'll get back to you and you can give me a part two to your answer for sure.
Oh, it's all good.
All right, wrapping up now. Last question. I mentioned this with Chicken. I did this with Justin in the first conversation as well. I do like to think that the people who are out there, not only watching my videos, but obviously watching your videos as well, they are coming into the UFC card hobby for the first time. So let's help them out. What is one piece of advice you would give these people coming in to the hobby, UFC card hobby for the first time?
Nice. Okay, so what would I tell myself when I first started collecting? I would say make a criteria for what you want to purchase. That's huge. I know you talked about it in one of your videos about like kind of writing down writing your not being scatterbrained with your purchases, writing down the goals that you have and kind of narrowing down what you actually want in your PC is huge. And it took me a long time to do that. And maybe that's kind of the natural progression of a collector is you just kind of you start out just doing this and then you kind of like, as time goes along, you hone in exactly what you want. that could maybe be how it is it's kind of a journey that you have to find out for yourself. But I would tell myself that so I don't waste time, money, and effort in, buying cards that I don't really want, that I'm actually now trying to actively sell. I'd probably say that. And also be patient. I mean, FOMO is real, and it does kind of take almost like a mental muscle to not just immediately buy the card, right? Like Donruss came out. I really like the past and present lenticular design. I'm not buying it for a while. I'm waiting. And it's patience. And like you're gonna save a lot of money that way. And you kind of get to see, give that card time to grow on you and see if you really want it long term. So I think that's what I would tell myself.
I'm going to steal your answer because that was absolutely perfect. The fact that you talked about FOMO, which it's easy to talk about, obviously, than practice. I think everyone's going to experience FOMO. I still experience it now, but I
Oh
understand a
yeah.
little bit more. But you still fall in that same FOMO trap. So the fact that you spoke about FOMO, I think that is very, very important. And then also you mentioned about just learning about the cards that you like and buy the cards that you like first, and not so much the cards that maybe someone else in the hobby or someone you saw on a video or something like that. No, just try and find the cards and buy the cards that you like, I think. And you can't go wrong with that strategy
Mhm.
at all, because as we've seen over the last 2 years, the values go up and down overnight. So if you're not enjoying the cards and you sort of only have them because of the value that they hold, it's not going to be a long sustaining enjoyable experience in the hobby.
Hun-
So
100%. And it's crazy how quickly a card can be, top of Mount Rushmore, and then all of a sudden the next day it can be completely gone. So if you purchase the card solely on the fact that, it's worth this much, your joy for that card is tied to that value. And as soon as it drops down, you're left with nothing. Where, like you said, if you pick a card of a person that you like, it's a great design, or that it's a completed set and you really enjoy every fighter in there, you're going to be much happier for sure.
yeah, definitely. I'm glad. I'm not surprised that we can agree on that one for sure.
Mhm.
This has been absolutely fantastic, Zach. As I said, mate, I have to have you back again. I feel like once again we've only just got started talking. I feel like we could talk for another 2 hours or so. But I don't want to
Yeah,
take
it's
up I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Obviously, I'm going to link everything for you guys, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, in the description. Is there any other best way? Are they the best ways if somebody's watching, they want to get in contact with you, maybe talk about, fight nights, maybe talk about cards? Is that the best way to get in contact with you?
yeah, for sure. The Instagram DMs, I'm on Instagram a lot. I love to scroll through my feed and just look at everybody's cards. So um for some reason I need to figure it out. Whatever it is, sometimes I don't get the notification in my DMs, and like you sent me one yesterday about prompts for questions. I didn't even see that until this morning. So I need to figure that out, but I try and respond if anybody ever reaches out. I love talking about cards. I love whether it's, just chit chatting, or if somebody has a question, definitely hit me up on Instagram. Please watch the YouTube, guys. Uh
Do
I'm
it.
trying to make it fun. I'm trying to make it a good time, and I love interacting in the comments there as well. So if you guys want more UFC card content, check that out too.
Yep, can't recommend their channel enough, guys. Once you finish watching this conversation, go check out Box Alarm Trading on YouTube. Watch the videos. Be entertained as much as I am. Make sure you subscribe and like and hit the notifications and do all that YouTube stuff for this great guy. Thank you so much, Zach. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, Damien. This was awesome, man.
Thank you again so much to Zach. Thank you again to Eric as well from Box Alarm Trading. I know both of those guys, how hard they must work for their channel, because I find their videos are very, very high quality, and I just think they are great together. As I said, check the links out to both their YouTube and their Instagram pages in the description. If you haven't already, if you enjoy UFC cards, if you enjoy this conversation, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on my weekly UFC card videos. Thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you again here next week at UFC Card Talk.